Alright, everybody, welcome to this week's Dissecting Design. We are going to be talking the Borderlands series. This is, of course, Borderlands 2, and we're going to be discussing the idea behind role-playing shooters. Of course, this is the popular moniker that was coined by the first Borderlands to combine first-person shooting with the procedural design of weapons and RPG elements to give it that a little extra flavor. And we're going to be talking about the game here tonight, as well as some of the limitations of the role-playing shooter elements. But let's jump in. Fortunately, I have a lot of characters to show off, and we'll talk about the basic gameplay next. Alright, so here we are in game. I'm actually not sure where I'm at in terms of playing. But the general gist of the role-playing shooter is that we choose our class, and this will determine special abilities and basic abilities, while the guns themselves are procedurally generated. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Also, take note of how the different stats appear in the bottom right for each gun. One of the major parts of Borderlands, because the guns are procedurally generated, it gives them a lot more variety. Oh, jeez, almost got killed there. I think I'm playing this on New Game Plus with this character, so that's also going to make things a little bit harder. Let's see what we got here. Oh. We'll probably get killed here. Oh no, we're good. Each class mainly determines the character's special ability, which you can see in the bottom left over there. Now, if you look in the bottom, it shows Slayer of Terramorphous. Those are class mods, which determine additional modifiers. Die. Now, in my piece about role-playing shooters, the thing about... What the hell is hitting me? Oh, there you are. About the role-playing shooters, that the abstraction is built into the guns themselves rather than into my character. Like, I'm actually aiming right now, and that's going to hopefully get this guy killed. But, could be. Come on. There we go. Get away from me. There's my special turret. We're complete with a shield. Wasn't that so much easier? Again, lots and lots of items in this game, and we'll talk more about what that means in our next section. But again, one thing I do like, because of these shooting elements are built, or I'm sorry, the abstraction is on the guns rather than on the player, you are rewarded for accuracy, as you saw with the numerous critical hits that we got. There's also melee. And that's torque. Let me just refill my ammo. So the game plays and operates very much like any skill or arcade-based first-person shooter. But how I grow and my abilities are dependent on the loot and the items that we pick up. So let's see, do we have anyone here who needs to blow up? Oh, we got company again. That was a lot better shot than I intended it to be. There we go, that's more like it, me missing at close range. Especially while I'm recording this. Oh. I think I'm not going to make it. I think he died. Wait, could we get a kill? I don't think we're going to do it. Could get lucky. Nice. Again, we'll put my turret up. The purple slag is basically a modifier that allows elemental attacks to do increased damage. Now, while they're hopefully being distracted... Goodbye. Death from above. I can take these guys out. and kill the meat. Now, I believe this was a bonus DLC quest, and Borderlands 2 certainly had a lot of DLC. There we go, there's 2. Can we get away from these guys? In our next section, we'll talk more about the actual items themselves, and how the RPG side of things go into play. Uh-oh. We also have bouncy grenades. And that is a big guy. And of course, there are many, many, many pop culture related references in the Borderlands series. Oh no. Damn your shield. Each time you die, the fight for your life, it gets faster. He's blocking me. Oh. Oh, I don't think he's going to... Oh, I think we're dead. Oh no, we're still in. Get my little force field, which did not last long. There we go, you're dead. Don't you love Mr. Torque? Yeah, one of the good things about the Borderlands series, it definitely has style to it, which we won't be seeing in terms of the cutscenes in this video. But of course, it was really good with the opening songs, such as Cage the Elephant, Ain't No Rest for the Wicked, stuff like that. But now that I've hopefully survived, and won't end up getting killed, we'll deal with this few guys left. Also, the health bar of these enemies determines what type of enemies they are. Green is usually mechanical, red is humanoid, and I think there's maybe one more. It's been a while since I played, but that also determines weaknesses and what weapons will work. Acid type weapons work better against humanoids. Electric works best on shields, and we'll talk more about that in our next section. But let's see if we can make it out of here. And to make things easier, I'll be switching between the different characters that I have, just to make things a little spicier. Alright, what are we doing here? Also, take note that the game is very much arcade-like, so we're not going to be dealing with super realistic stuff in the world of Pandora. I'm sure nothing will come and kill me, right? Oh. Get in there. Now, I think since I've played, they have raised the level cap with DLCs. We'll look at that probably near the end of our video. Alright, but I think that's enough of the general gameplay. Let's hop out, and I will talk more about the items and how things work from that perspective. So, see you all in a second. Alright, welcome back. I'm on my Psycho now, one of the extra classes that were added into the game. And besides showing off some different stuff here, and hopefully not getting killed... Die. We'll talk more about the items and the RPG side of the equation. But first, let me throw a few axes at this guy. I really do like the Psycho. It's one of my favorite classes. Good. Now that everyone's dead, let's get into the items, the big nitty-gritty of playing Borderlands and the role-playing shooter. The weapons in the Borderlands franchise, and by extension role-playing shooting, are procedurally generated. They are built from several different classifications: shotgun, rocket launcher, assault rifle, and so on. From there, they are further differentiated by the manufacturer. If you look in the bottom left of that gun, you'll see Hyperion, Maliwan, Bandit, and the like. This is just a clever way of uh, basically creating the modifiers for these weapons. In other games, it would be called, let's say, a weapon could be the fiery war axe or the super speedy spear, or anything like that. The different manufacturers have an impact on the weapon. Torque over here, as we saw earlier, is all about explosions, or as that weapon is, juicy sword explosions. That's a grammatical nightmare. Besides that, the weapons have their own set of modifiers. That's the listing below the damage type. So the 6.5 weapon zoom, increased weapon stability, and so on. As I said in the last section, different elemental types, elemental types will affect enemies differently. So electricity is good against shields, acid's good against humanoids, acid's good against armor, which are the mechanical enemies. Fire is better against anything that is living. Now, when it comes to the weapons, you can have two weapons of different types spawn, and they can have vastly different abilities. So, now this is a part, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of rarity, I believe it goes gray, white, blue, purple, and then yellow for legendary, which I don't have any legendary weapons on this character at the moment. And then there are specific named weapons, such as this lovely guy, which, let me see. Just for the hell of it, let's equip that. And you can see this in action. Yes, it's a weapon that shoots swords that turn into grenades. Like I said, a major part of the Borderlands franchise is definitely the style. And one certain element of that is, of course, the weapons and the personality. Can I actually hit someone with my sword grenade? And again, to make things even more interesting and give it more variety, your grenades and shields also have their own... I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk and not get killed at the same time. Have their own different rarities, manufacturers, and the like. I think this character, or my weapons, really aren't meant for this part yet, but we'll see. There we go. Eat sword explosions, you. And this is considered, I believe, New Game Plus. That's it. I'm pissed. There we go. Much better. Now we head back over here. You can see my shield. The class mod is what we were talking about earlier. And that determines your little name at the bottom of the screen there, Dazed Crunch. As well as give enhancements to skills as well as damage types. Here's a relic which further enhances things, with stronger relics providing more bonuses. Again, grenades. And this is just a really great example of the power or the great parts of role-playing shooting. Is that every piece of gear I have is procedurally generated. And it allows me to fine-tune the class to my specifications while still relying on my skill. Yes, having more powerful guns is great, but if I can't aim, it doesn't really matter, now does it? And again, I just like throwing explosive axes. Now, another major part of Borderlands are these skills. Each class in the game comes with 3 skill trees. Each one is built around different specific focuses. So this looks like it's all about fire damage. This is all about melee and getting in close. And this is about shooting and stuff along those lines. Some of these will unlock additional skills or will modify your primary skill. In the previous section with the Commando, my turret had a shield and also shot rockets. And that came from maxing out some of these abilities. So here's a few other modifiers. And again, all this stuff is going to be mostly on the passive end of things, making my attacks do more damage, giving me different elemental effects, stuff along those lines. But it's not changing how I play the game. It's just adding that little extra spice to make things better. And if you notice, each skill has a hard limit of how much you can effectively add to it. Such as, like right here. Right now, my Bloodlust stack, and Bloodlust, I believe, if I can find it, increases your magazine size, as you can see. So this increases the time before it starts to decay. Now, if I level up again, I can get that to a max of 2.5 seconds. But using class skills lets me overload. The skills will still get the benefit each time you raise it up, but this will allow me to go beyond the hard limit and further define my character. And again, combine that with your weapons, your skills, your grenades and shields, and it gives you just a lot of variety. And it makes it harder for two people playing the same class to be the exact same character. So now that's going to run out. And of course there's... Oh, and that's right, this gun, you throw it to reload. Let me go back over here. And that's the modifier down there. Again, this is all really great in terms of providing that variety. Of course, gotta fill up our ammo. Here are some more class mods, again, set up into different rarities. And this character is early in this new game plus, which is why we still haven't unlocked the vehicles. Don't worry, they're going to come and get me now. Yeah, you know you're kind of under when sniper rifles to the head aren't really hurting these guys. This is a grenade gun. But again, the point about being the psycho is being able to go into a psycho. And yes, one of my special abilities, I can run with a grenade. Hi, guy. I'm not just going to let them kill me. We're going to do that. Yeah, the psycho is just about moving around, almost dying, and then just killing everybody anyway. Who needs shields? I think I just punched myself. Come on. And of course we can suicide ourselves to blow up. Just throwing stacks of grenades. And we're back. Again, because of my ability, I can just immediately go back into psycho form. You think my guy is angry? There we go. I think that's all of them. But let's switch to another character, and we'll talk about some of the limitations of the role-playing shooter and how they specifically apply to Borderlands. So, see you all in a second. We are back. So, when it comes to role-playing shooting, again, there's always that balance between the player's skill and the abstraction of the gear. And one of the issues that the Borderlands series ran into, especially when you get higher up in difficulty, is just how much more annoying it becomes to deal with enemies. When you get to stuff like New Game Plus, these enemies just become very much bullet spongy, even if you have the right weapons for the job. And there is the fact... Oh, more trouble. As I was saying, one of the other points about the game is the fact that there's just not... There's always that limit in terms of how much the RPG should become a factor of play. For instance, when we talked about Division, it kind of ended very early, and then you're just left doing the same exact things. Now with Borderlands, as a positive to it, because of how much variety, I should say, there is in the gear, it makes sure that you're always going to be finding something new. But let's see what we got here. More quests. See if we can get the right quests here. Again, there's a lot of quests that I didn't go for here. Let's see if we can find some enemies to kill. And we'll talk more about some of these issues. Oh, what the hell? Come on, let me in. I think this is just going to be a arena fight, but that's good. We can talk more about things. Good. Now, with Borderlands, because so much there, or I should say, there's not a lot in terms of character definitions. Again, you have the 3 skill trees, but once you've gone up the ones that you want, it's just basically making incremental upgrades. Now, I'm probably going to die here because I am ridiculously out of practice. Now, with Borderlands in particular, it does become a little repetitive in terms of having to always have elemental-based weapons to deal with those specific enemy types. Because if you don't, it becomes even more annoying. That's why you'll find that in a lot of the higher-up characters, you'll have one weapon for slag, one weapon for acid, and the like. Now, of course, as a guncerker, we get dual wielding. But this is kind of one of the issues I had with the Division as well. You get all these really cool powers, but because they are set on cooldowns, it means you can't really use them unless you know you're in trouble. It's the age-old RPG issue of having cool abilities or items, but refusing to use them in case you get killed. So you always have to wait until the absolute last-ditch effort. Die. Take that. Like, it would be awesome if I could always be gunzerking, or just use my turrets whenever, and add a little bit more of the RPG or the class differentiation into the experience. Now, I've been playing this on like normal and the first New Game Plus, and not getting too far in. But again, once you get later in, it just becomes very hard to kill these enemies, and it gets to a point of a feast or famine situation, such as in Diablo 3, where on the right difficulty settings, you will either be mowing down common enemies like they're nothing, or it's going to take you forever to kill them. But in Borderlands, it becomes worse by the fact that not only do you need upgraded weapons, but you also need the right elemental types. Now, I'm not going to live through this, especially with a badass here, so I'm just going to get myself killed. Goodbye. But when it comes to role-playing shooting, again, you can never go perfectly 50-50, as in being completely about the player's skill and not relying on the weapons, or relying on the weapons and downplaying the player's skill. Somewhere it has to give. And in Borderlands, I think it gives more on the gear side. Because if you don't find the right weapons and the right items, there's just not much you can do. You don't really have the abilities to fully dodge in this game. There's no in-game skill that lets you, dodge, roll, or take cover like that. And you'll find many cases that the shield is probably one of the most important aspects. Not getting a high-level shield means that it will be easier for enemies to quickly tear it up, and then you're just going to be in your permanent health. Now, with that said though, it still provides a lot of hours of entertainment. And you really don't notice those issues in terms of the discrepancy between gear stats and the enemies until you get to New Game Plus, and in Borderlands 2 case, New Game Plus Plus. But you definitely will start to feel, like I said, it's feast or famine. You'll get to that point where you're just going to mop up enemies, and then you immediately move on to the next section, and then they're just going to wipe the floor with you. Then you get a really good weapon, and the process repeats. Now, as we're going to move into our final sections talking about Borderlands 2, let's talk a little bit about one of the more, I guess, polarized, or I'm not sure this would be considered controversial topics of the game, and that is the DLC. So I will see you all at the main menu. Alright. Now, one of the more controversial, as I said, polarizing parts of the Borderlands 2, or I'm sorry, Borderlands experience, but specifically with Borderlands 2, came in the form of the DLC, and how it had a lot. Our character here, the Mechomancer, was a free part if you pre-order the game, and was also a part of the game's Season Pass. Now, if we look down here, there is a whole lot of DLC. Some of it was included in the game's Season Pass, others were not. And that's where things got very annoying. The Season Pass mainly included the first few episodes of story-based DLC. So if I can find it on the list here, hopefully. So stuff like Sir Hemlock's Big Game Hunt, Tiny Tina's Assault, that stuff was included in our lovely Season Pass right here. It also included the Ultimate Vault Hunter Upgrade Pack, which was the upgrade to the levels and more of the New Game Plus. But I believe people actually complained enough and they threw that in. I don't think that was part of the original purchase. But all this stuff in terms of cosmetics and different skins and stuff like that you had to buy separately. It was not included in the Season Pass at all. And people didn't like the idea of having, on one hand, a Season Pass that should include all the content, but then still having DLC to buy otherwise. Now, I don't think we can show it here. And then there's, of course, these little bonus codes. But for those of you who did play through Borderlands 2, what did you think about all the DLC that came with it? I know some of it was hit or miss. Here's a few other things. Let's see. There's the Mechomancer. I think that was the pre-order bonus, but if you didn't pay for it, you didn't pre-order, you had to buy it separate. I know the Psycho was 100% a separate purchase. I had to buy it again. And even though I really liked them, there was definitely a lot of costs associated to Borderlands 2, including its full retail pricing. But with that said, let's go back into the game and I'll sum things up with my final thoughts. Alright, so to wrap up my thoughts on Borderlands, I do really enjoy the series, but again, I don't completely fall in love with it. I wish that there was just a little bit more in terms of differentiating your different play styles. Because regardless of who I play, I'm still going to be using the same guns. They may do different effects or have different bonuses, but a pistol is going to shoot the same as on a commando the same way as it will on an assassin. Another point about the game is that it does get into the point of loot overload. It's when the game is procedurally generating so much gear of very minimal or very small amounts of differences that it becomes very hard to figure out, okay, just what is the best weapon for me at any given point. And this leads to this kind of hoarding situation of trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to hold on to this gun, for the rainy day. It's an issue that we see in a lot of ARPGs. And it's even more so in a game like Borderlands because of the skill factor. Because it's not just about me using my weapons or how well I'm aiming. It's about the game or the weapon's firing rate, magazine size, accuracy, you name it. And this, again, leads to that case of just like deer in the headlights of you trying to figure out, okay, what weapon should I have? Like, here's like a little machine gun, or a semi-automatic pistol. There's my rocket launcher. Just a regular old assault rifle, which is not doing much, actually. now we can make myself cloaked. He also uses his ninja sword. But yeah, this is a game where I kind of wish that, again, like I was able to do a little bit more with the RPG elements of it. So here I'm going to use my sword and try and execute. As I said in the last section, it really becomes feast or famine in terms of your weapons and your skills. Or, I'm sorry, your weapons and your gear. But there really aren't too many games in the role-playing shooter genre. And again, Borderlands, despite its few issues, is still a really great example of the pros and cons of it. The RPG elements are greater compared to a game like The Division. Let's see, can we get in for a sneak attack? Goodbye. Oop, completely missed that. And unlike a game like Fallout, which I talk about in a critical thought, this is still firmly on the player's skill side. We don't need calculations to determine whether a critical hit will work, I just need to aim at the guy's head. Now, I wish we would see, I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do with the series next. Again, the last full Borderlands game was the pre-sequel. Now, I'm going to hop out of here, just pause so I can talk without concentrating on the game. But I hope that if we do see a sequel or another game, that we get a little bit more in terms of fine-tuning the RPG elements. Maybe having less gear, but making it more meaningful. And again, having the characters be more differentiated. Like I was joking on the critical thought, I would like to see someone combine like Doom and World of Warcraft. While maybe too extreme an example, I would really like to see someone do something similar to like Diablo 3, but in a first-person shooter setting. Let me have my classes and my ability to completely fine-tune and customize it, but give me the control or the after control of a first-person shooter and be predominantly skill-focused like that. And as I said in that piece, I have not had a chance to really play Destiny, so I'm curious what you folks think about that and how it relates to Borderlands. But with that said, let's wrap up this week's Dissecting Design here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new and you enjoy things, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know you have a thought on an upcoming game that I should dissect here. Check back daily for discussions on game design here and on GameWisdom.com, where we examine the art and science of games. And they should be weekly Dissecting Designs, most likely on Monday. So until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And come back around 10 Eastern for regular streaming. For a collection of my writings as well as weekly podcasts on game development, be sure to check out game-wisdom.com. Follow me on Twitter at GWBicer for updates throughout the day. And to help support everything that I do, you can find me on Patreon under GWBicer or Game Wisdom. Your donations can help to keep things running, and we hit some goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy. So, thanks again for watching, and be sure to come back for daily discussions on game design on the Game Wisdom channel.